Hey everybody, welcome back. So today I'm going to talk about some do's and don'ts that I've learned in the last few weeks with this thing. I finally took it out for a few rides and everything was going okay. But anyways, I'm going to dive right into it and let you know what I found out, what I've learned, and things that you should not do. So I guess we'll dive right in. The initial problem that I am having with this car right now is the whole clutch system. So I don't know if you guys remember in a previous video when I was building this engine, probably sometime before Christmas, I went out and bought a expensive enough clutch kit just because I wanted something a little bit more beefier. I had like an original style 350 in pressure plate, which worked fine. It never slipped. It actually felt really nice because I still have like a mechanical clutch pedal in here, and it felt really nice under my foot. But I wanted an upgrade, so I got this Luck LUK clutch system. Came with flywheel, came with everything. It's for an LS1. So this is my first problem. Don't buy these. As you can see, it's like raised here and it's made for a specific pressure plate. Now, right off the bat, you can't get any replacement parts for this thing. I kind of looked online just for the specific pressure plate, and it was so hard to find. And like just to buy this flywheel, I had such a hard time finding this flywheel. There's no part numbers on it or anything. So if I ever wanted to replace this flywheel, if it got damaged or worn out or anything, it was just impossible to find. And anyways, next up, this is the pressure plate that went with it. And this pressure plate is made 100% for a slave release bearing, because my mechanical one was not happy at all. Like this thing, basically in a nutshell, it was super hard to depress, and then it would feel like you push and then there was like a thunk, and it's like basically on off. There was no smoothness to it at all. There was like zero transition. It was just, you push the clutch in and then clutch is engaged, and then you let it off, try to let it off. Usually clutch disengaged. It was just like toom, 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 toom. So anyways, that being said, I had an incident on Friday where I was out driving and my horn doesn't work in the car. So when people piss me off, I just rev at them really loudly. And I was driving down the road and there's a red SUV coming at me, and I wasn't driving like an idiot or anything. Out of the blue, right behind this red SUV, this guy on a Harley just whips out to pass. And I was just like, whoa. I pulled off onto the shoulder, the red car pulled off on the shoulder, and this Harley driver proceeds to flip both of us off as he passes us. And I was just like, what did we do wrong to you, guy? Like, what did I do to deserve that? Anyways, I revved at him, bounced off the rev limiter, and for some reason, this pressure plate stuck. And then I was like, oh wow. So not only am I really grumpy, I screwed up my clutch. So anyways, it took a couple minutes of just mashing on my pedal to get it going again. And then finally it released and I was like, yay, I'm happy. And I got home, told my wife the story, got all my grump out, and then I was fine. But that being said, that high RPM and the release bearing ended up melting a little bit right here on the forks. So it's like half of these forks weren't engaging and disengaging anymore. So I hopped to go on Sunday. It was Father's Day. I wanted to take the car out, kids. Hopped in, fired right up, and the clutch, I couldn't even get the car in gear. The clutch just wouldn't engage. So that's that. So don't buy that clutch system. It's really yucky. If you go on Rock Auto, that's where I got it from, or you can probably get it from Summit. I don't remember the part number, but it's like a performance upgrade clutch. and I'm just gonna stick with the regular stuff. So moving forward from the regular stuff, this is just a regular pressure plate that I had laying around. I think it's from one of my previous setups. This guy's going back in, it's tried, tested, and true. It's not worn out, as you can see. Like, there's still grooves on this. It's fairly new. And I had a flywheel. I used to use a flywheel from, it's like a 2000 4.8 Silverado manual, very cheap. They're like 98 bucks Canadian to get on Rock Auto, so they're very, very cheap. But I had one here, and my cousin was down here. He lives about 7 hours away, and he's like, dude, you have a flywheel? I was like, of course I got a flywheel. Give him the flywheel, he takes off, and now I need a flywheel. So anyways, here comes my next story. I haven't figured this out. If you guys know, great, let me know in the comments. But I have an NV 4500 right here. This is a spare transmission that I got, well, I didn't get it, but my cousin got it for his truck. It's just a spare one, it's just staying here. But the guy gave us spare flywheel and a bunch of stuff to go with it. I don't know what year of truck this is out of. And the flywheel that he gave me is the flywheel I'm gonna be using. So I'm gonna grab a flashlight here and show you guys. Anybody who's ever, if you've ever tried to put a small block Chevy, sorry, just looking for a flashlight. I don't know where I leave my crap. But anyways, if you ever tried putting a small block Chevy flywheel on an LS, you'd know right away the center hole is way too big. Nothing lines up. Bolt holes don't line up. It just can't be used. So in my mind, I'm like, I don't have a flywheel. Like, there's a flywheel right there. That's for a small block Chevy, and the hole is huge. Versus this one, it's significantly smaller and bolt pattern's different and all that. So, I still haven't found my flashlight. So I'm going to take this one. All right. So the flywheel that came with it, I don't know what it's out of, but it fits. So if you're looking at this thing right here, I have the clutch disc on just to make sure. And put that right there. So there's only 4 bolts in there right now because, well, I couldn't find the other ones. And the ones that came with the kit were actually too small. I put them in this flywheel, and then it turned out like one bolt started to strip, so I stopped. And then I found out that, oh my God, these aren't even the right size bolts. They're not even the right thread size. So the kit that I bought for an LS engine didn't even come with the right size bolts. Once again, don't buy that kit. So anyways, this flywheel came with an NV 4500. I don't know what year, what engine, but everything lines up. It's the same amount of teeth. The bolt pattern's the same. The hole on the inside is the same. There was only about 2 bolt holes that I just reamed out a touch. Like, it's a flywheel and it's balanced and I get it, but, and you know, taking material off a flywheel is never a good thing, but I barely had to touch them. So whatever this flywheel's off of, I don't know if it's like a 6.5 or I don't know what, but it works. And I don't know if it's one of those things you could find in a junkyard dirt cheap, or anyways, it's something that I really want to research and find out, because it's a piece of information people should know if you're looking to do a manual swap in your LS. Anyways, that's where I'm at with that. The only other thing that happened to me was my reverse gear stopped working, which was a fault of my own. When I put this thing back together, there's a spacer right in here I forgot to put. So every time I'd put it in gear, the whole gear would move up with the synchro mesh. So then it would just like take a minute to get in gear. It would finally go kunk, and then, oh, it's in gear. And what else? Last but not least, the troubles I've been having with map sensors and the Holley tunes. I wanted to get, if you guys run any kind of boost, or if you start running boost, watch what map sensors you get. I've been told by a lot of people to get the map sensor for just the right amount of boost that you're going to be running. So I have a 2.5 LS9 map sensor in there, and I wanted to downgrade to the 2 bar, because the scale on the Holley is kind of just a pain in the ass to deal with every time you go to do timing. So I don't know what happened. I had a tune for my 403 that was absolutely excellent for that engine when it was supercharged, and I put the same tune in this thing and figured I would just, you know, adjust the fuel a little bit, adjust the timing a little bit, and that tune really did not like this engine at all. So I had to start from scratch. And by starting from scratch, you know, I had to enter in my new map sensor, and then it gives you the scale of what to work. And for some reason, every time I would tune the car, it would just run, it wouldn't even run. Sometimes I would just adjust the timing, and then the car wouldn't even start after. And I was like, well, this doesn't make any sense, because I'm only playing with the timing after 0 PSI. So when I start the car is in vacuum. It shouldn't affect the timing, so I don't understand why it's not running properly. It's so anyways, I started over and I started over and I started over, and I finally got it. But anyways, lesson learned. If you're, I wanted to get the Holley 2 bar, but it's not the same plug. You literally have to cut your wire harness, change the plug, put this map sensor in, and then select it. I was gonna do that, but the map sensor is like $200. And then if you go on Amazon, you can get the cheap ones, which you know, they say are stock replacement, which I have right here. This is a 2-bar map sensor you can get on Amazon. It's the same part number, the whole 9 yards, and guess what? It doesn't work. I contacted Holley, and they gave me the voltage scaling for this. And I put in the voltage scaling, custom 2-bar map, followed their instructions. Still doesn't work. So these aftermarket map sensors you get on Amazon, probably Summit, wherever, I would just stay away from them. I would either stick with GM part numbers that are in the Holley system, or something that is tried, tested, and true by like a blog online. I couldn't find very much information on these 2-bar sensors. This one particularly came out of Grand National and something else, but I don't remember. Anyways, don't do it. And then, yeah, I'll just whip out this thing real quick. For anybody that doesn't know, because I had a really hard time figuring this out. I watched a lot of videos. Took me a while, but I'm going to show you guys something real quick. Hey, come here. All right, so this is my current timing table. As you can see right here where the mouse is, that's 0.5, so it's pretty much at 0 PSI. So down here is your vacuum. So the problem is that anytime you want to do boost application, and you go into here, so for example, I'm going to put a Holley 3-bar, which is normally what the tune says. So well, instead of screwing up my tune, check this out. We'll go here, open global file. No. So, didn't do anything, just opened a file. So, you're new to this, you threw a turbo on your LS, you want to get it running, fine. So, turbo 58. This automatically chooses a Holley 3-bar map sensor for you. So you go to your fuel table and you'll see you'll have 31 pounds of boost up there, which is 3-bar, and then you go to your timing table and it's the exact same. Now, if you go out and buy a Holley 3-bar map sensor, you're gonna have a pretty nice timing table. This table is made for Turbo LS with the Holley 3-bar. And then if you sit here and look, there's you have 7 and -7. So there's your vacuum and you're starting getting the boost. The numbers look like they should, At 0 vacuum, wide open throttle, you're about 23.2, 24 degrees. That seems acceptable for an LS engine, 24 degrees wide open throttle. And then you start getting into boost, and then as you should, pull timing out, right? Great. So let's say you're at 12 pounds of boost, wide open throttle, you should be at 14.5 degrees of timing. That makes sense. Here's where everything doesn't make sense. If you don't adjust everything, you don't keep your eye on everything, you go out and you say, I'm not going to buy a $400 3-bar Holley sensor when I can get a LS9 stock sensor for a third the price. So you go and you put in an LS9 sensor, and then you think everything is fine. The problem is that the computer scales down everything, moves the numbers around, and you don't really realize it because it looks fine. But if you go in here now, you'll see that at 10 PSI of boost, I'm gonna be running 26 degrees of timing at wide open throttle. That's no good. So if you do something like this where, the scale says, 26 degrees, but 26 PSI. I'm only running 15 PSI. So if you do that, you can change the scale. And then what it does is your 0's down here now, your 10's here, and then 15's up here. The problem is the computer just kind of does this 14.9, 14.9, 14.7, da 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 da. And I've tried this before and it doesn't work at all. And it just kind of screws up. So then I watched a video where this guy just took this section and moved this section down here and then moved this section up here. Tried that. It works for some. It didn't really work for my car very well. So the easy trick that I learned was, and I found it on a couple videos, but I mean, if you're new to this, you might as well check it out. So here we go. What you do is, if you want to move this whole timetable down, put 15, enter, second click, fill column values. And then what it does is it takes that 15 and instead of having like 14, 14, 14, 14, 14, it stretches out all the numbers down to 0. I mean, you could do it manually if you wanted to, but it kind of sort of just automatically does it for the computer. So now, where I said 10 PSI of boost was at like 24, is now at 14.5. That seems a lot more reasonable. So that's just a little tip. A lot of people probably already know this already, and if you don't, there you go, because this drove me nuts for a really long time, and I hope it's of some information. Anyways, that's pretty much all I got to talk about right now. I'm gonna wrap this up real quick. I'm gonna finish putting my transmission together. I got a new belt put on because I blew that one. That's about it. Just a regular small block Chevy pressure plate going back in that. I'm kind of starting to get grumpy because it's midsummer and I haven't really drove the car that much. And I've been really wanting to go out, do some filming, do some burnouts, have some fun. I recently had some issues with the supercharger. It was my own fault. When I put the thing back together, the release valve, the boost wastegate, the internal wastegate inside the supercharger, for some reason, I had pictures of everything when I pulled it apart, and I put it together wrong. And I put the vacuum line on the wrong side of the wastegate actuator. And what that did was, when the car was on idle, the wastegate would be closed, so the supercharger was feeding all the boost into the car on idle. And it was funny because the supercharger would be like, make this rattling sound. I'm like, what's going on with this? Is this my engine? And then under full throttle, it would only get about 5 PSI. So then I'm thinking in my head that maybe there's a vacuum leak, maybe there's a boost leak. I took the thing off, I bought new gaskets, I checked everywhere, and it just turned out that the vacuum line was on the wrong side of this stupid wastegate actuator. And then as soon as I plugged it up, it was like, boom, completely different car, back to friggin' 14 pounds of boost. So that sucked, but it was a learning curve. Anyways, I'm gonna wrap this up because I gotta get out of here. But I hope some of this information was helpful. And I haven't put out a video in a long time, and I'm gonna try and put out some more of just trying to get out and drive the car. I'd like to go do some auto shows, but I really haven't got that far yet because work's been busy. But anyways, thanks for tuning in, guys. Hope this was a bit of a help, and I'll see you later. Take care. Cheers.